Hello, this is Geometry Part 1, Lesson 1-7. This is Problem 3, which was found on page 52 of your textbook. It's asking what is the distance between two different points. Now remember, there is a specific formula that we call the distance formula, and it is simply the difference in the x's squared plus the difference in the y's squared. So all you have to do here is kind of plug and chug as we go along, as I call it. You're going to put x1 is going to be the -7, y1 is going to be 5. That'll leave x2 to be 4 and y2 to be -3. Now it doesn't really matter which order you pick them in, but that's the one that they have done for this example. So if I plug that in, it's going to be the difference in the x's, which is 4 minus -7. I'm going to square that. And according to the formula here, you're going to take the difference in your y's, which is -3 minus 5 squared. When I clean that up, again, when you subtract a negative, you end up adding a positive. So that becomes 11 squared. The other one becomes -8 squared. This becomes a total of 121 plus 64, or the square root of 185. If I were to use my calculator and take the square root of 185, that's approximately 13.6. I know it goes on, but if we're rounding to the nearest tenth, that would be about 13.6. Okay? Now, let's just do one together in the got it section here. It says SR has endpoints of -214 and 3, -1. Again, if we follow the distance formula, it's going to be the difference in the x's, and again, it doesn't matter. I usually choose the second one to be x2 and the first one to be x1. So x1, y1, x2, y2. Again, I say this over and over, but it really does not matter. And so it's going to be 3 minus -2 squared, plus the difference in the y's, which is going to be -1 minus 14 squared. Well, again, two negatives make a positive, so that becomes 5 squared. This becomes -15 squared. When you add that together, this becomes 25 plus 225, because anytime you square a negative, it becomes positive. Those two together end up being the square root of 250. And then again, if you use your calculator to find out what the square root of 250 is, that is approximately, and again it said round to the nearest tenth, that ends up being 15.8. And that becomes your answer to this. Now, the B part is more of really just a thought question. In problem 3, suppose that you were to let 4, -3 be the x1 and y1, and the -7, 5 be the x2, y2. You get the same results. Yes. Now, the reason why is because you are taking the difference, you're squaring it, and then you're taking the square root of it. So by squaring something, it doesn't matter which order you do it, you're still finding the positive difference between those. So even if you were to do it the reverse way, that's why you end up getting the same results. Okay? That's part of the formula. Squaring it and taking the square root will cancel out any negatives that you might incur and allows you to put those in any order you would like. Hope this was helpful.